Hey guys, Zen here, and today I want to talk about one of the most controversial operators that has ever been introduced into Rainbow Six Siege, and that's Lion. Now, the reason that I wanted to bring up this operator and talk about him is because I think that there's a lot that Ubisoft can actually do to kind of save him from himself. I think we're at a point right now where Lion is still looked at as too strong, overpowered, and let's not forget that Ubisoft did recently just pull him completely out of the pool for the Pro League. So now, if you're in the Pro League, you can no longer play Lion at all. So I figured in this video we could go over some of my suggestions to change him, maybe buff him up, and make him a little bit more usable in the meta. So the first thing that I would look at when it comes to Lion is his operator speed. I think 2 speed, 2 armor is a little bit too fast and gives him a little bit too much variability in how he moves around the map. So my suggestion here would be to change him from a 2 armor 2 speed to a 3 armor 1 speed. When Lion was first being shown off and when his first ever images were coming out, I had speculated that he would be a 3 armor 1 speed, and the main reason for that is because he is a massive operator. I mean, when you look at him, he's very tall, he's very thick per se, he has a gigantic backpack and so much more. He looks like he would be a 3 armor operator, and so when it came out that he was a 2 speed 2 armor, I was actually really surprised. Now, as far as how that'll affect him in game, I believe making Lion a slower operator will force him to be a lot more strategic about when and where he uses his scans. The best value that Lion brings is holding the defender still so that the attackers can push on in. Now, as a 2 speed 2 armor operator, this can be done a lot faster and you can push a lot quicker when that scan is active. As a 3 armor though, not only is it going to take you much longer to actually push because you're a much slower operator, but you're also going to be significantly louder when doing so. When the EE-One-D is going off, it's extremely loud and it's one of the most annoying things to deal with as a defender. But if Lion was a 3 armor being significantly louder, you could potentially hear him over those scans while he's pushing, while he's moving, or at the very least you'll hear in what direction he may be coming from. And so I really feel like changing his operator speed would work out well and help to balance this operator in a similar way that we saw with Kapkan on the other end of the spectrum. As a 3 armor operator, Kapkan was just extremely underwhelming. Now yes, at the time his gadget did have lasers and it made it a lot more obvious for the attackers to notice them, but it wasn't easy setting up all those traps while you were very slow and you were trying to get around the map. Now that he's a 2 speed 2 armor though, and he has a lot more of those traps, it makes it a lot easier for you to set up your traps outside of the objective and still make it back in time to set up your walls, put on your rook armor, and all that other stuff. So I think operator speed is an element of the game and an element of balancing that a lot of people in the community don't think of. A lot of people just rush to weapons or gadgets and focus on the different ways that those can be changed. But again, seeing Lion as a 3 armor would make sense as far as how he is actually designed as an operator, and I think it would also make a lot of sense in the gameplay area. But now we can talk about Lion's gadget, the EE-One-D drone. Now, this is easily one of the most powerful attacker gadgets by itself. Not only does it have the ability to have straight up wall hacks, but it's also a global ability, which basically means that once activated, it benefits every single attacking operator on the field. So as of now, Lion has access to 2 of these scans. When he launched, he had access to 3, but I think it was obvious right out of the gate that that was way too strong. So Lion now has 2 of them, and my suggestion is to tone that down to just 1 scan. I see each EE-One-D scan as an event. Everyone knows it's happening, there's a countdown, both sides have the announcer calling it out, so I think it's just a major event that happens at any point in time in the round. Now, I think the best way to kind of balance this is to change this event down to 1 global scan. It's such a powerful ability and has so many different uses, whether that's diffuser control after a plant goes down. A lot of the times Lion will set a scan up, and so whoever is trying to get to that diffuser to try to defuse it, they get caught and the attackers will know in what direction they're coming from. Or like I mentioned before, you can use it to push an objective. You need the defenders to stand still, you need them to remain exactly where they are. Maybe you already know of their positions, call in a Lion scan, hold them still, and allow the attackers to push. So I think having access to 2 of them, really whenever whatever Lion wants is a little bit too far still to this day. Now, in addition to only having one of these scans, I also feel as though Lion should have to either set up or have some sort of time period that it takes to actually set up the scan. So the only example I can really give here that makes sense is similar to when you're planting the bomb. Obviously, when you're putting the diffuser down and you're trying to make a plant, it doesn't just happen instantly. It doesn't happen at the click of a button like it does with Lion's gadget. So I'm thinking before Lion's gadget actually goes off, even before the countdown begins, it should take him some time to actually get it going. Now, I don't know exactly what kind of animation or what kind of things that Ubisoft would have to do as far as development to make that kind of thing happen, but there is a rework coming for this operator, and there are going to be some pretty significant changes that happen with him, and so maybe this could be one of them. Have him take some time. Maybe he has to be completely immobile while he does this, similar to Echo or Maestro, and then call in the EE-One-D. I also feel like this would promote a lot more teamwork with Lion. As it stands now, at the beginning of any given round, if you have an Ashe on your team and they plan on rushing, they're going to say, hey, I'm going to rush into the objective and I want you to give a scan when I give a call out. Usually at the same time as this, they'll have a Dokkaebi call or something like that. That way you're causing a ton of chaos within the objective, and the defenders really have no choice but to deal with that. With a change like this, Lion and Ashe or Lion and Dokkaebi will really have to think about how much time it's actually going to take before this EE-One-D goes off. Now, the last thing that I would do to Lion's gadget to kind of balance all of this out is to take the duration of both of his scans and combine them, and then have that be the duration of the one global scan. So essentially right now, if you call in an EE-One-D, each scan lasts about 3 seconds. So if you combine them, you get about a 6-second duration of scans in the game. So if we were to take away yet another scan and give Lion only one, I don't really think that it's fair that it only lasts 3 seconds. I think a lot of the time when we're using that first scan, it's kind of to prep up the defenders into where they're going to stay, kind of let them know of Lion's presence, and then really use that second scan as that push. So I think combining them and giving Lion one 6 to 10 second scan is really the best way of not allowing this operator to be super overpowered and continuously holding the defender still, while also allowing him to remain relevant and effective in the meta. Now, real quick, I want to talk about Finka, the other global operator in Rainbow Six Siege, because I think that Ubisoft has done a really good job as of recently with balancing this operator. So yes, Finka is a global operator, and with the click of a button, all of the attackers get her nano boost injected directly into their bloodstream, and they get a ton of benefits. But Ubisoft has added some serious counters to this operator that I think balance her out and do force Finka to think when she actually activates them. So her first counter is actually Lesion, and he's one of the most prominent defenders on defense right now. If you have her nano boost active and you step on a goo mine, it just completely takes you out of the effect. She also has the hard counter of Smoke. If you're in the effect of her gadget and you happen to walk into a gas canister, you're going to take a significant amount of damage, and Ubisoft actually recently increased that damage as a way to buff up Smoke. So Finka has some hard counters on defense, and I know for myself, if I know that my opposing team is constantly playing operators like Lesion and Smoke, I typically won't run Finka, because a lot of the times you can end up doing more harm than good with her. And that's really the biggest issue with Lion. Outside of standing in a mute jammer, which I think a lot of the community would agree has too small of a radius, but outside of that, there really is no hard counter to Lion, and especially when his scans are going off. You pretty much just have to stand still. Again, outside of that, there really are no hard counters, and I think if Ubisoft does plan on making some serious changes to Lion, I think it needs to start with hard counters. Because he doesn't really have any, we don't have a lot of references to point to, but I think if there are any operators in the future, there has to be some kind of hard counter to Lion's EE-One-D gadget. That's the only way that the community will be able to agree that this operator is balanced. Lastly, I think it's really important to note that Lion was not actually developed for multiplayer. He was developed for Outbreak first and then carried over into multiplayer. I don't know if you guys remember this, but early on, before Outbreak was actually released, we did know that there was some co-op event of some kind coming, but as far as what it would include, we weren't sure. However, there were rumors that there would be some temporary operators that would kind of serve that role and would not be making their way into multiplayer. Now, of course, it ended up coming out that we had Lion and Finka, and they were a part of Outbreak, but it could be possible that Ubisoft did have some temporary operators, or maybe Lion himself was one of those temporary operators, and they decided that instead of just kind of throwing away all those resources, they'd repurpose him and try to fit him into the meta. Now, it's been confirmed that Ubisoft will never develop another operator like this again. Every operator that comes out will be designed from the ground up for multiplayer, but that doesn't mean that I want to see Lion completely removed from the game. Now, I know that isn't necessarily happening right now, but of course he is completely out of the Pro League and he is currently awaiting a rework for everyone, and so I don't want to see him being tarnished so bad to the point of irrelevancy or just being rehashed into an operator that no one really cares about. So to quickly go over my ideas for how to fix Lion. First, I think he should be changed to a 3 armor, 1 speed operator. He's a little too fast right now for what he's capable of, and I think slowing him down a bit will balance him just right. Secondly, I think some of the changes that need to be happening with the EE-One-D need to be that he needs to lose a scan, but he also needs to combine the durations of the scans he has now into one global scan that can only be used once in the round. And on top of that, whenever a rework is coming, I think Ubisoft really needs to double down on finding or introducing an operator that is a hard counter to his EE-One-D. Mutes jammers just aren't enough at this point, and there really isn't anything else that prevents him from being super effective in those ways. But that's really everything, guys. Those are the ways that I would change Lion. But before we head out, I wanted to remind you guys that there is an official Discord server for this channel, and really, guys, it is absolutely blown up since its official announcement, so it is still the top link in the description. Make sure you guys go down there and join the Discord. It is absolutely lit. But of course, now I want to hear from you. What are some of your suggestions to change this operator, and do you agree with mine? Let me know everything in a comment down below. If you did enjoy this video, please drop a like and subscribe with notifications if you're new. With that being said, it's been Zen. Hey, I'm out.